welcome everybody to Cosmic Brew. I have my special guest, Dr. Amir Jahangiri. I don't know how to say your last name, Dr.
Jahangiri.
Jahangiri?
Yes, Jahangiri.
Jahangiri. Amir Jahangiri, welcome to Cosmic Brew. I'm going to share I'm very excited to have you. I think you know that I told you that before. Yeah. Okay, so today we're going to be talking about AI, Milab, abductions, different augmentations that have been done to people in Super Soldier. For those of you that are going to be joining or watching in the future, and I'm going to now introduce and share your bio, Dr. Amir. Dr. Amir is a lecturer in computer science with a PhD in brain-computer interface and a postdoc in artificial intelligence from the University of Essex, United Kingdom. His research includes the design of a novel linguistic BCI that recognizes imagined words in the human brain for operating and controlling a computer. He has also worked on developing new approaches to predictive modeling using inverse reinforcement, learning by focusing on the structure of the reward function, also known as the AI brain. He has also dedicated over 30 years of his life to the path of spiritual mastery and becoming a master holistic health practitioner. Dr. Amir's mission is to find gifted people and help them pursue their spiritual mission on planet Earth. He is the creator of his own modality, Dragon Reiki. The treatments offered include a unique and personal combination of the following modalities: Dragon Reiki, Reiki Drum, Qigong, shamanism, pranayama, mental and emotional programming, crystal healing, light language, activation, spiritual contract revocation, spiritual counseling and guidance, cord cutting, soul shard retrieval, past life regression, entity and implant removal, ancestral and family karmic clearing, total energy and chakra balancing, psychic defense, and aura repair. Dr. Amir also reads the Akashic Records and discovers star seed origins. He can also assist with DNA activations and upgrading the light body. Welcome, Dr. Amir. I mean, you're I don't know what I did. I have a ring that I wear normally for public speaking. It helps me stay focused, and I don't know where I took it off at, but that's okay. Your credentials are exceptional.
Very kind. Thank you.
I'm fascinated for the fact that you have worked in AI for so many years and have the skill sets that you do and the knowledge. Do you want to elaborate a little bit more on that?
Absolutely. Ladies and gentlemen, my warmest greetings to you. I hope you're all doing extremely well. Thank you for your valuable time. It's an honor to be here in your presence. Dear Ida, thank you for the opportunity. I'm extremely grateful. I've followed spirituality since birth, pretty much. Learned how to meditate at the age 5 and never stopped. Seems I was born with certain gifts active. And then along that, I followed the path of study and learning and teaching, and I've never stopped that either. I've got 7 academic degrees. I've worked for over a decade on machine learning, artificial intelligence, and the human brain with a focus on consciousness. So what part of the brain does what? How much of the physical body is involved in consciousness? And coming to the conclusion that, well, the human simply is more than just the physical, which nicely corresponds with the shamanic work. So I've also found that people who have great mathematical ability find spiritual matters easily understandable. So it seems that the laws of the universe apply in one scale or the other. So I continue with great joy to learn, and I'm very grateful that I have the opportunity to serve in the capacity of a teacher and a healer. So that seems to be the fulfillment of my mission, my life purpose.
I have had a reading with you. I've worked with you, and before the show started, we had a few minutes to discuss some of the changes that have happened for me since my session with you, and I have to say that it feels really good. I don't know how else to say it. It feels like something's been lifted off of me, and things are, synchronicities and people and certain things are starting to align with what my real intentions are and what I'm wanting to create. And so I can say, if anybody is interested in having a reading with Dr. Amir, you will not, every dime is worth it. It's so
Thank
worth
you
it.
so much. I'm
Yes.
really grateful and happy that you're seeing the benefits of this. So the approach, I like to think of it like an energy car wash. You come in all covered with dust and you come out the other side nice and shiny, more you. And that's the key, really. The key to evolution is being you. And there's nothing missing. There's no secret knowledge that you have to acquire, no mastery that you have to gain. It's all here now. We are the brilliant humans. We have to stop looking at things in an inverted way. All the power and glory and grace is within us. And so, therefore, considering that we are aspects of the source of all sources, the beloved source of all things,
Yes.
if we need to be contained and controlled, then the only way to do that is to use overlays, to limit us, to make us forget, and to prevent us from remembering. And so my approach is removing these. And many people come with all sorts of different types of implants, sentient AI attached to them, astral devices that prevent light from the infinite soul making it into the vessel. And of course, lots of stuff going on with the conscious mind, causing anxiety, messing with our sleep, messing with our memory. There are also other types of interference going on with the physical body, the nervous system, the glandular system, the energy vortices in the body, the chakras, which are harvested regularly for different types of energy. Ultimately, these are turned into potent narcotics, energetic narcotics, and it's spawned an entire drug trade across much of this galaxy. They've got many species addicted to what is harvested from humanity. And that's one of the reasons that the world is in such a mess. The mighty humans who can hold shards of the divine are turned into hamburgers. And we're treated as cattle for the most part. And so now moving forward, my purpose in mentioning all this right at the beginning is that there is absolutely a way out. And it is not a collective way. It's a personal journey for us to heal ourselves and reconnect back to the infinite soul and to the source of all things. And once that occurs, nothing can mess with us. We don't require information from the outside. We can tap straight into the library of life and read the truth of things. And so we become much more difficult to manipulate. And so that's the objective that we should all follow in these next few months and years, where it seems like the world is going to be even crazier before the darkness, this infrastructure that has affected humanity, is rolled out and removed for a normal life and existence to occur. Many people may ask, okay, what would that be like? Is that paradise on earth? Well, life is what we make it. But probably many of our esteemed audience will agree, the level of difficulty we face is quite abnormal. So sometimes there may be a benefit in going through a certain hardship and learning a lesson, but things have gotten out of hand. The severity and the extreme degree to which we are suffering, now this is not normal, and sometimes it is completely beyond any valid purpose for our growth. So that is going to be removed eventually.
I appreciate everything that you just said. And one thing that stuck out to me was what you said in the beginning about the chakra system and the drug taking of these entities through our chakras, through the energy that is emitted from. So could you elaborate a little bit on that? Like, so I'm clear that I understand it the way.
With pleasure,
Yeah.
absolutely. So, ladies and gentlemen, the human being is infinite. We are not limited to emanating a separate or discrete set of energies, which are these chakra systems. We're able to embody and basically invoke and evoke and emanate any energy, any vibration. So our consciousness has a presence at the level of the source of all things, coming down all dimensions, and then including inside the physical reality, all levels of vibration or energy. Like a natural rainbow, you see there are separate colors, but the borders between these are continuous. And so that is the organic way of creation. Now imagine that there are beings that wish to harvest energy, and this process is so traumatic that if not for the existence of, let's call them what they are, energy USB ports where you can plug in and plug out, the process will be fatal. The injury is so severe that this process will definitely kill the human. And so basically these are implants, very primordial actually. So these go on for about 250,000 years at least, where at certain points there are inputs to the energy of the human, like the root, sacral, solar plexus, heart, and they seem to be kind of in a comfortable zone where certain types of energy can be extracted. The most common is the root chakra, sexual energy, the life force. They think of this as the Kundalini energy when it spirals up through the spine and you have a Kundalini awakening. One of the vital flavors of energy in the vessel. And about 85% of the population are harvested in this way. And so these numbers hold steady as I go through more and more people, helping them remove this stuff. It used to be 100, and it seems that the infrastructure has degraded. So 15%, it just doesn't take. And also the good news is once this complex of implants is removed from the root, lower spine, sacral plexus, tailbone, and hips, sometimes these also plug into the liver, kidneys, spleen, also little tendrils going down to the tips of the toes. Once this is removed out of the energy, there isn't enough quote unquote manpower to reinfect people. So once you're free, it seems you're free. And then there's a resulting increase in your life force, in your energy, the clarity of your flow, because we're essentially pulling in light from the divine through our tube of light or vessel and anchoring this into the earth. And there's a basically symbiotic relationship between living and conscious beings and the planet, each healing and serving the other.
Sure.
So also with the sabotage of humanity, many people may have heard of this, that the natural grid lines of the planet were severely damaged. Many parasitic ley lines were created above the surface. And so now with the great and beautiful and monumental efforts of many people, these have been for the most part healed. So the planet is healing itself.
Here, that's lovely, Dr. Amir. I'm happy to hear that. Would you agree? So I do have questions that I created for you, so I do want to get to them, but I'm enjoying the flow of this because I think the information that you're sharing is so important for people to become, and better informed, and it's an opportunity for people to do their own research or to possibly connect with you and have and I highly recommend people reach out if you're interested in this type of work, shamanic work and healing. Dr. Amir is definitely the real deal. I have had a session with him, and what he was just sharing, I do feel like I have more of my energy coming in now, where I felt more blocked before. I feel more clear in my thoughts because I get scrambled. I mean, I'm talking and I can't find words what I'm wanting to say, or I'll say a sentence before another sentence that's meant to go the other way. Like literally, I feel, but I feel like that's cleared up a bit. It's gotten better for sure. And part of that is also doing, I do PEMF sessions, which help with my nervous system and so forth. But the question I wanted to ask you is, so it's been mentioned over the years that I've been on this journey that the chakra system is an implant or implanted as new to the. So do you know anything about that, or would you be willing to share and help
Yes.
people understand better?
Yes, absolutely. So again, we were talking about the harvesting of Kundalini energy. This happens from the sacral, which is sensual energy, everything beautiful on earth. Imagine that ecstasy of enjoying beautiful nature, the birds singing, the clouds and rain, everything that makes this planet beautiful, that's turned into another narcotic. There's also severe harvesting done from the kidney system, the adrenal glands. That's more of a physical substance, a chemical. There's harvesting of the solar plexus, your confidence, your endurance. That has a negative effect on your energy levels. Also the heart, the throat, jade gate, third eye, crown. So now imagine that there's a USB port, beings that are responsible for this, and they have all levels of presence in many dimensions coming down. And of course, there are humans in physical bodies these bodies are occupied by souls that are not quite human. But there's a human footprint on the ground governing this whole global system. So these USB ports to plug in and out are absolutely abnormal. So they're just basically like connectors. So we can be harvested without dying every time, prolonging the process. And so these are absolutely removable. But I would not recommend that this is done in a hasty fashion. So a really great method that could be used is an ancient evolutionary method called the Kujikiri. This has done this for me and for every single other person who has completed this process. So you focus on the energy of each center, starting from the root. You cleanse it. You become familiar with the energy and you dissolve that USB port. And so if a regular reader or healer then looks at your energy system, they think that your chakras are off or that they're non-existent, which is pretty much true. You are continuous. And so there are 9 keys, 9 major energy centers in the body that this system focuses on. And over a period of 3-4 months, you dissolve all of them. So it becomes incredibly difficult to harvest your energy in that way. And then also going through each level or each key, you're dissolving any booby traps or implants or anything that doesn't belong from your energy. So by the time you go through the first round, you're really pulling in more of your light. It strengthens your being from the physical all the way to the divine. And so this system has been used by many, many people, warriors and monks alike. So the warriors were invested in the extrasensory perception that would give them an edge in combat, but it also seems to strengthen and speed up your reflexes. So instead of having a, let's say, 300 millisecond reaction, this is associated with a P300 event-related potential. You can measure this in the brain. It speeds things up to a P100. So your reflexes become 3 times faster. So somebody from the outside would look, they'd draw the sword, do the wound, put the sword back before the other person had time to even register. So wow. It has very powerful effects on the body too. But then what I'm really interested in, well, we're not wielding swords around all day, every day. No. I was interested in the evolutionary process for what it does for my consciousness. And I can really guarantee you it's idiot proof. It worked for me. It's idiot proof. And I've been doing this for 10 years. And every single time I do a new round, it seems to liberate me more and more gifts are unveiled.
So you would recommend that people remove their chakra systems if that's something that they truly want for their expansion and well-being.
Yes.
I think, yeah, I've heard this over the years many times, and some of the work that I do, I work with chakra, I do clearings on chakras and so forth. But I've thought sometimes to myself, am I really helping by powering up their chakras and so forth? Like, is
Um,
it?
well,
Yeah.
well, the answer is yes. So there's stages to this. Remember, these implants are very comprehensive. They connect with little tendrils energetically. You can see these like little black roots in the otherwise white energy of the soul. And so suddenly yanking them out is going to be catastrophic. It will cause system shutdown, very
Hmm.
harmful. And
Yeah.
so therefore the approach is first of all cleansing them. So if there are other additional booby traps using that port of entry to that certain discrete vibration of energy, because again, that's the property of a computational system. It's not continuous. It takes samples, discrete samples. And so from the the unified consciousness of the human, they've taken 7 samples. They're the major ones. And so one by one, cleansing them. Now, what you do in empowering and cleansing these individual ports is benefiting people, because it's not just the harvesting. Many other entities and beings can use these too. So that is beneficial. But
Okay,
the
very
ultimate,
good. I appreciate you saying that because I've thought about it. Since I start doing the kind of work, I don't do Reiki, but I do use an instrument that's 0 point energy that seems to work and people really enjoy and feel the
yes,
benefits from doing the session. So, um, Dr. Amir, so we're I mean, I could talk to you for days,
me
right?
too.
So I'm trying to keep, and I definitely want to get to the questions I have for you because I think they're worthy of asking. Um, but so people that have been all, so do you see in your practice a lot of super soldiers or people used in the military abduction or super soldier program? Do you see a lot of people that come to you with AI as part of their bio? Like,
Absolutely. It's almost a 100% yes. So
wow.
these parasitic AIs, these are usually connected to the crown, and they have 3 main tasks. One is messing with the serenity and peace of mind. And so when one wishes to meditate, the conscious mind has to reach a state of peace. And imagine the surface of a lake, and if there are waves, you see no reflection. Everything is jumbled up. When the wind stops and we have perfect stillness, then you can see the reflection of the sun and the clouds, or the moon and the stars if it's nighttime. This is also true with regards to the conscious mind and a meditative state. If that calm is never reached, you will not recognize the gentle whispers of your infinite soul. It gets
Hmm.
lost in the carnage. So that's one of the things that it does. But then also in your waking hours, they cause, this is the second thing, cyclical thoughts. So a thought comes into your mind that is basically unpleasant, makes you angry or sad or depressed. It gives you a negative energy and it just goes on. The damn thing keeps looping. Even if you fix the actual problem, years later, the same thing comes back into your head. So it's still these old AI going on and implanting these thoughts in the conscious mind. And so for our audience, ladies and gentlemen, just because you become aware of a thought does not mean that it is yours. People must know this. And so this is very real. It's not psychosis, it's not mental illness. Everyone is subject to this right now. And the good news is removing these are relatively easy with shamanic practices. And now, just before I go into that, the shamanic healing, I would like to share this with everyone. The third thing that they do is interference with the memory. So, for example, you have this glorious experience in your dream where you're traveling the lower or upper astral, maybe going into even other dimensions, fifth and above, maybe even going into other universes, and experiencing an incredible encounter with a beneficial consciousness. I like to think of all of these as other aspects of self, your guardians, ancestors, ascended masters, and so on. These are also, everything is us. But then when you come back into the vessel, these damn AI, they prevent you from storing this in the physical memory. So all you are left is with a knowingness without knowing, or a sense of calm after the dream without remembering the details. And so this is the other thing that these guys do. Now, you asked about super soldiers. Yes, 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 absolutely. So there's more targeted interference with the higher chakras, with the super soldiers. Many of them seem to have devices between the crown and the soul star in the shape of a, let's say, inverted shield, sometimes in the shape of a, well, the thing that I could most liken it to is a World War II German army helmet placed on the head, and then these AIs are tapped into that, and it covers the crown, most frequently the third eye, and a lot of the times the jade gate at the back, cutting the person off from communicating with these other beneficial entities, beings, guardians, ancestors, so on, but also severely limiting how much light you can pull through from the crown, from your infinite soul. So this is done to especially those in the secret programs to prevent them from remembering. So it is very much a harness. And so this is very common. Every time I see this, I would immediately start thinking super soldier. So the interference with the crown and upper chakras, that's almost universal among the super soldiers. But then to a lesser degree, there are the sentient AI. They look like a sperm cell. They've got a main body and a little tendril that plugs in, usually above the eye level, around the cranium. And if it's done intentionally, usually they're placed very, very symmetrically, equidistant spacing, very nice and clean, as if the technician that has done this is very good at what they do. And sometimes we just pick these up randomly. So imagine you go swimming in polluted waters and you're going to pick up bugs, parasites. And so they're more random in their distribution. So how they are actually connected, that would indicate where they're coming from too. But removing them is a very simple process. So what I use, if you just give me a moment.
Sure.
So I use a sistrum. This is an Egyptian instrument.
Wow,
And so they've used this to, you've seen the shape of the ankh. So they create the sound instrument. It's profoundly useful for distance healing. And so I use this instead of cleansing a temple complex to move these guys out of phase with the energy body. A few moments of this sound seems to shake them out of the phase, and then you can do some psychic surgery. Go through the cranial cavity and pull them out with all their little roots without them snagging on anything. Because if you leave them and try to attempt removal, they'll start wiggling around and causing even more injury. So this kind of pacifies them, pushes them out of your phase, and then you can gently pull them out of the boundaries of the body and the aura, and then deal with them. Some of them wish to evolve, and some of them must be burnt to ash.
Wow. I have so much I'm listening to. I'm really like in awe with your I love your voice. Your voice is very soothing, by the way. And
Thank you so much. You're very kind.
I mean that. You have the frequency of your voice is very welcoming and soothing. Yes. Dr. Amir, I'm so fascinated with you, and there's so many things, and I'm trying not to interrupt you. Just so you know, I'm doing my best because I want to hear everything that you're sharing, and I know the people that are listening. We have some people that are here listening, and people will listen to this in the future. But are people born AI? are they born AI, or are they, like, for instance, and I'm only using me as an example because I know what I've experienced. Like, I was left at the hospital for 2 days and my family was told that I had infection in my right eye tear duct, but that's when I know, once my sister told me that's when they implanted the I understand is a scorpion implant, which you've done some work on, and I'm very thankful for. But I think the system, while may not be working the way it was because of my session with you, I still see the wiring. I can still see it. I see it. And so my question is, are people born AI with or come in with and born AI, like we hear about, babies being created in test tubes underground and military bases and so forth? Or are they, is it after the birth of the baby that's when the military comes in, or these different programs, and infect the baby with the AI in order to take over the body for their benefit, to use them in these projects and programs? Do you understand what I mean? That's okay.
Yes, and thank you for this wonderful question. So, for our esteemed audience, ladies and gentlemen, please consider that time and space are just limitations of the physical realm. So these limitations do not exist outside of the physical dimension. So therefore, the entire time that a human is incarnated in a body can be observed in one place. And plus add to that the system that people call the matrix or the holographic reality, I see this as a divine experiment of guaranteed unnatural evolution. So the governors of this system are aware of what soul is going to come into what body. So many of these astral attachments are ancient beyond a single planet or galaxy or a universe for that matter. Many of my clients, when I observe their energy, they have injuries that predate this current universe. They are migrating souls. They come in with the ancient injuries, and so some of them, including AI, and sometimes these designs are so exotic and wonderful and beautiful to behold. So my background is engineering. I look at the energetic structure of these things and I say, oh my God, this is just pristine. It is elegant in its terribleness, in its horror. So I can sometimes admire the genius that has gone into the construction of these devices, which are usually a mixture of technology and biology. And again, all life is not physical. So we have biological life in other dimensions. So sometimes these are with the soul as old injuries that have not been dealt with. And so when they come into the body, that remains with them. This is also true with cords, energetic cords. So a heartbreak from 3 lifetimes ago, if not dealt with and the heart is not healed, you still are drained of your energy by the same heartbreak 3 lifetimes ago, and you remember none of it, but it's still impacting you. So this is also true about our genome. So the same sort of inherited conditions that we see in our body can be true with our energy. Karmic or bloodline afflictions. These can also be removed. So you heal yourself, you also heal your ancestors, and you also heal those that are not yet born. They will never experience the terrible damage that these conditions do. So it's important, paramount, that we heal ourselves. And then the interference with the physical vessel begins right at the moment of inception, where the egg and sperm mix and create your first cell. That's when the system goes to work. So by the time you have grown into a complete fetus and you're ready for birth, 90% of the work is already done.
Wow.
And then you go through the birth canal, the birthing process happens, and then the soul is wiped. So you can come in and out of the vessel when it's a fetus, checking the environment, getting last moment encouragement from your team. Oh, you've got this. You're going to rock the world. You're going to rah. And then you're born and it's all wiped. And you're coming.
I didn't know that. I mean, I didn't know that Well, I shared with you that I remember being in my mother's womb and not wanting to be born. I did not. I I was in a body of water and I looked up and I saw the sun shining through her belly
Yeah,
onto me. And
yes,
I didn't want to be born. And
I
but
understand
I
this.
was.
I
And
also have
yeah.
I have memories too of being a fetus,
Wow.
remembering the voice of my dad as he was singing, putting his face near my mom's belly and singing a lullaby. I remember
Oh, that's
that.
lovely.
Swimming
That's really
around, I remember
sweet.
sucking my thumb in the womb and kicking around some certain foods I didn't like when my mom ate it, and so I was just kicking her, giving her hell. Some people do remember this, and then yet
I'm not laughing. You just the way you said it. Yeah, that's
scientists
kind
will
of
say,
funny.
well, no, it's too early to
Yeah.
form any conscious memory. The brain is not developed fully, and so on. Well, they are correct. But please consider this, that the human is much more than the physical. So we have many levels of memory. One very tiny piece is from the conscious mind. And by the way, the job of the brain is just to keep us alive in physical reality. That's it. And so there are other aspects and dimensions of consciousness which hold memory. And then the vessel itself, atomic memory, elemental memory, karmic memory, akashic memory, energetic memory, light memory, universal memory, so many things that are entirely non-physical. And so these aspects would explain how people can recall things, also from past incarnations. So the tie to the old vessel is completely gone. So now let's go. We're born, the moment of birth happens, the soul is wiped, default factory settings, and off we go. But then we're living in a world that is very polluted. And so we may pick up AI every day from different things. Maybe our light is so bright that certain programs identify us in childhood as special and gifted. And so they do their own damage, their own thing. Many levels of implantations, many levels of programming, shattering the consciousness into compartments, creating altars, and then programming each altar, installing different key phrases or recall conditions, so one would switch between them. Heavy mind control. And so the human aspect, the earth-based aspect, focuses a lot on trauma, on chemical manipulation, on the physiological structure of the brain. And these are perfected, by the way. They have been perfected for thousands of years. There's texts going back to ancient Egypt, and also lore and legends of how this was done in as far back as Atlantis. But now these methods, they have been kept alive very faithfully. Ladies and gentlemen, please believe me. All these secret societies, they teach this to their senior members. How to mind control. And guess what? It's down to a science. And so these individuals do, in fact, become very powerful. So, all this being said, the answer to your question, the short answer is yes to both conditions, pre birth and post birth. And so we're left with this dilemma, what to do really. So, there's two steps. First, please, ladies and gentlemen, heal yourself to a sufficient degree so light starts making it back in. Number two, find a practice that you can do on a daily basis to strengthen yourself. That means you become independent of anyone or anything. There's so much garbage going on in the media, World Wide Web, social media. Everyone comes and says something. And also, please consider there's the immense history of humanity that has been obscured. A lot of these things are used as shock and awe. When somebody connects back to source, maybe an element of opposition will come and say, yes, 25,000 years ago, you were in this vessel and we faced each other in this battle, and I used this and this technique to subdue you, and you have been afflicted ever since. And the answer to that would be, I don't care. I'm connected to source, and that's all I need. And that seems to wash away all of this stuff.
Yes, that's fantastic. Just what a simple resolution to that, because so many. Well, I think people. So you were just saying about the the news and the media and so forth. I mean, I'm just going to be as direct as I am in saying that I think the alternative media And a lot of this new age nonsense is nonsense. And it's not to be offensive to anybody. And this isn't directed towards anybody. It's just in general. I mean, I've been observing for a long time. And some things I bought into for a brief moment. And I'm like, okay, I don't feel this is,
It's not beneficial.
yeah, I don't resonate with that. I don't believe everything is all love and light and whatever. I don't. We live in a dualistic reality. We can choose to, to polarize light and to truly focus on the positive and, harness the energies of real self-actualization in spiritual development, whatever the energies are that we're working with that are beneficial, that are not harmful to us or to want to dominate or control others, to really just be pure at heart and let go of manipulation and so forth. And it's a work in progress, I think, for so many of us. People that are truly earnest about making right action, doing correct, doing the work to really shadow work. I mean, you're really a testament to, yeah.
I love what you just said, Ida. Shadow.
Yes.
Please, let's focus a little bit more on what's really happening. So,
Okay.
the human being is infinite. There is no reason to think that, let's say, yellow is better than green. There's no reason to think that green is better than blue. And so these are different parts of the, let's say, the color, the continuous spectrum of color, all joined together will give you white. They all have their place. And so again, I would like to extend this to the infinity of existence, which is our birthright. There is no reason to say that light is better than dark. Light does not equate to good. Dark does not equate to evil. They're just different octaves of reality within which consciousness exists. So just because a certain being is born and exists in the 12th dimension doesn't make it any better or worse than a human. Anywhere that free will exists, there is a possibility for corruption. And so even in the modern Abrahamic religions, we hear the stories of fallen angels that were gifted with great blessings and they abused it, and so they fell from grace. What we don't hear is that there are also those born in darkness. With great difficulty and challenge, they sing the praise of the beloved source of all things, and they ascend in rank. Now, if the mainstream culture is asking us just to focus on love and light, well, that leaves us open to the other half of reality and existence. What happens to that? What happens if you see a being that is born in darkness but has your best interest? Are you going to be racist and call it ugly and shun it? Well, what makes that any different from racism? And so we have to embrace the entirety of our nature. That includes the darkness. That part that we are afraid of facing is our greatest limitation. Ancient traumas, pains, ancient curses, the abuse of magic, different violations and betrayals. You have to stand up strong and say, come at me. Face it, negotiate with it, come to a mutual understanding and integrate it so it doesn't become your Achilles heel. So you don't get inflicted from that same area over and over. That's shadow work. So if there's something dark inside you, don't be afraid. I say you are the mighty human. Face it, see what it says. Maybe it's a version of your childhood who was punished unfairly and just wants to cry and let out that energy, and all you need to do is shine love on it. By the way, that's called inner child healing. Or maybe it's a version of you 3 lifetimes ago who was murdered brutally and your family was harmed in that process, and that trauma remains with your soul. Maybe all you need is to go back and give blessings to everyone involved and cut the damn cord. If you're afraid of anything that doesn't look all lovey-dovey, you're truly blind, because maybe there's a very negative and evil entity that shows itself to be an angel. Just because it looks all shiny and bright, please use your discernment. So this is so important. Focus on the dark as much as you do the light. Maintain a perfect balance in a neutral state, and then deal with everything consciously.
I
Believe me,
love
that is the
that.
point of
I
great,
love
great
that, Dr.
ascension.
Amir. That was well articulated and an absolutely powerful message. I think people will really, I trust people will appreciate that because I mean, there's just, again, I say there's a lot of sensationalized information out there and everybody's doing, and I don't not, I want everybody to thrive and do well, but I just know that everybody isn't the real deal. And it's not a judgment, it's an observation. And I just I wish them well, and I do, stay focused on the people that I do admire and appreciate their genius, like yourself.
Thank you.
So
You're most
let
gracious.
me. I have some questions because it's 3:01 and I'm gonna have to get off here in probably about 30 minutes at
Okay.
most. Uh,
Okay.
I have an appointment at 4 o'clock, but so
Okay.
just real
Let's
quick, I
promise
want to
each
make
other
this.
that we'll
I'm
do
sorry.
more of these. Let's promise each other to
Absolutely,
do
I would
more
love
of
to
these.
have you. Oh, definitely. I was already
Absolutely.
planning to ask you to come back, but for the people, you notice on the thumbnail that Brian Tseng was to join us. We all know that Brian has brought a new beautiful baby girl, Crystal, into the world. We want to send a shout out and many blessings to him and his wife, into Crystal, welcoming her. So he wasn't able to join us, but we will plan another uh, show,
Absolutely.
and Brian will join us. He sent me a message, so he did want to be here and thought he may be able to pop on, and he may still, but if not, we're definitely going to schedule for another one. But
Absolutely.
so, first question: what inspired you to merge your work in brain-computer interfaces and artificial intelligence with spiritual mastery and holistic healing? I think that's a great question for those that are
That's
not familiar with your work, or even those that have come across you, to have a better
absolutely.
understanding.
So very, very early on in life, I'm talking about age 4, 5, I started having mystical experiences. Beings both of light and dark coming, visiting, and I could see and communicate with them. So I remembered this throughout my life, and I knew for certain that this was real and I wasn't imagining. And so that question, that burning question, that what was that? That never went away. And in fact, now looking back, I know that's that little spider thread or silk thread that maintained my connection to spirits, no matter what happened in the early stages of my life. And so I started meditating, discovered that I could remote view, seeing other locations. So it was absolutely certain to me very early on, I'm talking like my mid-teens, that the human is more than just the physical. There's no other explanation. But then I was also interested in using the scientific method, something that is repeatable, reliable, measurable, dependable. So all these properties that is defining the scientific method, I wanted to see what has been harvested from that. What is the result of that approach? And so that has mainly focused in our current civilization on the body and the brain. So learning about different types of, let's say, operating zones of the brain: delta, theta, alpha, beta, gamma, high gamma. What happens when we meditate? What alterations does the brain go through? Lots of research is done in this.
Sure.
What's the link between the infinite soul and the brain? Ultimately, to understand how it works. And then AI, which is relatively new in our civilization, although this has not been invented by humanity, it's been around for hundreds of millions of years as far as we have interacted with it. And it's not just limited to this universe. But then how to model new AI based on a system that is already working, which is the human brain. And that's a beautiful path forward. How do we learn? We're not imitating. We are understanding the dynamics and understanding them, and then emulating and repeating a strategy that optimizes that reward function.
Right.
So it was really an attempt to use everything, but then also the academic side of my life was instrumental in my approach to spirituality. Keeping with the scientific method is very valid. So if something works, that's all you need. If something doesn't work or works part of the time, you reject it because there are conditions in play that you do not understand. So if something is observable, repeatable, valid, reliable, and so all these other properties, meaning I can do it, means you can do it. I can do it here. You can do it where you are. Somebody can do it in the North Pole. Somebody can do it in Australia. It doesn't depend on time. It doesn't depend on the person. Okay, now we're onto something. And please believe me when I say among the infinity of spiritual material, there are those methods that stand up to the scientific method. So it is a spiritual science. So having backgrounds in both areas has helped me greatly in picking those gems of knowledge and technique that work. They have worked for thousands of years, and guess what? They continue to work. And so
Sure.
with that, my understanding is complete. So I use that in my practice.
That's fascinating. I just there's I could go on. Okay, so I'm so in awe with you. I can't
You're
help
most
but say that,
gracious.
Dr. Amir, because I
I'm
just
just
could
a
listen
humble
to you for
reflection.
yes, you're amazing. And I'm so thankful to have crossed paths with you this lifetime, right? I believe
The
that,
honor is mine. I'm here
yeah.
to serve the masters, dear Ida. It's an
Oh,
honor to
you're
be of
very
service to
kind.
you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Okay, what inspired you to okay, nope, that's the question I just asked you. Can you explain how your linguistic BCI technology works in recognizing imagined words and how it might impact future human computer interactions?
Absolutely. So the most natural and intuitive way of communication for humans is language. So instead of, there are other modes of interface with the brain, like motor imagery or P300. So motor imagery is you imagine moving your hand or you imagine moving the mouse. Those systems also work. There are other systems that work on the autonomic responses of the brain to flashing light. So light flashes with a certain frequency. You see that reflected in the visual cortex, mimicking the same frequency. Those
Wow.
systems also work very accurately. But moving to language requires a combination of um, functional neuroanatomy, understanding what language is. So linguistics comes in, psychology comes in. So if we build up a infrastructure, a valid approach to understanding words or understanding language in the brain, that would really be the way forward. So you think of something and then the interface picks that up and the computer understands. So it will be like a modern day natural language processing, but with a direct tap into the mind.
So are
So
you, wait a minute, I don't mean to interrupt you. Are you referring to like people with implants that will be able to communicate with AI systems to,
ideally, that would be bypassed because implants in their current stage require brain surgery to open up the skin, the bone, the soft tissue covering the brain, and to directly sit on the gentle, delicate matter of the brain. So the mechanical properties of these devices are different from the soft tissue of the brain. So it's a very delicate process. Now, experiments that have been useful in this field were in cases, for example, a soldier has been injured on the battlefield. They absolutely require life-saving brain surgery, and then with their consent, a little mesh is placed while they're in good health and while they've already opened up the scalp, and they do some measurements. Now, those experiments have been instrumental in understanding what is happening, when it is happening, and where is it happening in the brain. But other than that, it won't be worthwhile of putting in an implant because these also, by very definition, will not last very long. So you'll have to have brain surgery every 3 years. That's ridiculous.
okay, but so real quick, because I know the time and I've got so much, I'm definitely want to have you come back on because there's,
Absolutely.
so are you telling me an organic, a telepathic communication with AI computers without
Yes,
implanting is something
absolutely.
of our future?
No, it's something of the present.
It is
Now, when
happening now?
it is happening now, and the algorithms are in place. The understanding of the brain is in place. The computational power can be fit in a pinky nail. That is in place. The only thing that
I
really
didn't
is a
know this.
bottleneck.
I watched so much. I mean, I watched a fascinating show last night on Danny Jones, where a guy they were talking about. I'll send it to you. You'll probably enjoy it. But they have this bodysuit that they put on for their people that they send out like outer space and so forth, and it helps build their muscle. Of course, they have to work out, but it
Yep.
helps enhance the muscle tissue close to the bone so that they
Absolutely.
can
So,
get
myo,
maximum.
that's basically myoelectric signals. Myo is muscle,
Yes,
myoelectric.
that's it.
And
That's
so
exactly right.
the strength of the electrical signal going to my eyelid or moving my eyeballs left and right is 1,000 times greater compared to what makes it out of the brain. So myoelectric, any kind of bionic suit just needs skin contact, and they work amazing. And in
Wow,
fact, they
Dr. Amir,
respond.
you know about that. Yeah, I'm gonna send it to you because you probably will
I've
enjoy
done
this.
this has been
Yeah.
my PhD research.
Yes,
And
that's
so, in fact,
fascinating.
the machine responds to the nervous signal before the body's muscles do. So, in fact, moving these multi-100-kilogram suits is effortless. The machine moves before your muscle has time to contract, so you feel completely weightless. But now with the brain, the only thing that remains is interfacing with the brain. We talked about sentient AI plugging into our energy, and they are using non-physical dimensions of reality. So they are astral implants, and the technology is far more ancient than humanity itself. So they work. With terms of human technology, the bottleneck holding everything up is the interface with the brain. And now, if I may say, initially we use electrodes on the surface of the scalp. When I was starting my research, you had to put on a cap, put in conductive gel, connect these electrodes, and if there's 64, it takes a minimum of 20 minutes, and that's when you reach expertise. Otherwise, it takes an hour and a half when you're starting, looking at the chart, which goes where, and so on.
Wow, wow.
Now,
I'm fascinated by that stuff. I'm fascinated.
now,
Yeah.
at that time, dry electrodes, which you could wear like a cap, and they don't need anything, were expensive trash. A few years went by. They started improving the technology, adding little comb heads to each one of these sensors. And by the time I finished my dissertation and submitted my PhD, the quality of dry electrodes, which you could just put on like a cap, reached parity with the old laboratory environment, gel, all that stuff. And so now we've got dry electrodes, which you can put on and go jogging. They've canceled out through mathematics the interference from movement, the sensors moving around, crosstalk, the effect of sweat on the skin where the signals merge through conductive communication and so on. So it's a very vibrant field.
So you would say that these types of technologies are beneficial for the human for the
Yes.
advancement of our
You see,
because you hear so much about AI, people, and it's like
let's address that. Let's address that. That's a beautiful topic. So it's not a matter of technology. It's a matter of humanity's base nature. Let's look at the example of fire. It evolved us into something that moved from the wild into civilization. Cooking food evolved our brains, but we also used it to burn the hell out of each other. Let's look at the example of nuclear power. The best minds that humanity had, the free world had, were gathered together in the Manhattan Project to build a bomb. And we used it on our fellow humans in Hiroshima and Nagasaki, and then hundreds of other experiments just to make them more powerful and deadly. Thank goodness that they haven't been used. And now, rather than weapons to burn and disintegrate cities, we use them for reliable and, believe me, clean electric energy. Although the radioactive byproduct is dangerous, it's far less harmful than all the pollutants that natural like coal and gas give into the air. You can bury these 3 kilometers down. In 500 years, they're neutral.
Wow.
The same is true with AI. The people who have money to invest in this are militaries, intelligence agencies. They have the money to push the technology. And of course, the first generation or two of these devices are going to be used to the purpose of warfare, like what's going on right now in Ukraine. It's really pretty much an intelligent drone flying around, evading air defense and hitting a target on the other side. The air defense is getting smarter, finding possible paths of travel and firing the missile where it's probably going to be and shooting it out of the sky. But then after this initial phase, we're going to reach a state where these are becoming more common, and they're going to absolutely revolutionize humanity for the better. So it'll find links where normal people don't have the time or endurance to make those connections. So a tiny little, let's say, grower of, I don't know, ayahuasca in the Amazon, the AI will find a customer all the way, let's say, in the west coast of the United States, in Orange Valley. Cut out the middleman so that farmer in the Amazon can feed their family, and the guy that wants
That is
to
fantastic. That is, yes.
and so this is going to really lift the most impoverished part of human population up. That is a good thing. So technology isn't good or bad on its own. It's us that want to first build a sword out of steel before we build farming tools. It's us that wishes to weaponize biology in the form of all these crazy viruses before we build medicine and improve each other.
Well, that's what I'm thinking. I think that, you know, I don't believe technology is I mean, I know that there was, you know, or at least information that I've come across over the years and the studying and, you know, just becoming aware of some things. I understand that Lemuria and Atlantis decided who we were at that life in those lifetimes, that we had chose technology over our spiritual development, and we end up, well, here again. And I'm really hoping that that is not the case, or at least to balance the two so that we can use them in a harmonious way, our spiritual development and the technology and innovations that, you know, so many people are coming. I mean, I'm using a PEMF machine now that's changing people's lives, pulse electric magnetic field, and terahertz. I mean,
dearest Ida, I want to now just add something from my part and my humble understanding about our ancestors, the people in Atlantis and Lemuria, and all this stuff going around in the zone of information that's presented to the public, that they messed up. I think that they did not mess up. That in fact, going through cyclical extinction events is part of the conditions of this matrix. So the last one we faced was the Ice Age, and we've got geological evidence for that. Now, the surface of the Earth is volatile, it changes, but there's much that has made it into the legends of all cultures about the flood. That was the last extinction event that our ancestors faced. And so this seems to be a method of containing humanity for the purpose of prolonging the experiment. If we were left to our own devices, we are the mighty humans. We would be the master of the stars. So we are kept in this situation by the powers that be for a very specific purpose. Now, the good news is there's not going to be a next one. That's the whole thing. That's the whole new golden age. That the result of this experiment, which has been going on Earth for hundreds of millions of years. First of all, the purpose to create us. We are the most intelligent, adaptable, and resilient beings ever. Anywhere.
Yes, we are. That's right.
Now, plus that, it's not just our physical and mental brilliance, but we are capable of embodying a shard of the source of all things. Not every being can take that immense energy. And when I say we are the pinnacle of creation everywhere, please don't look at these current vessels. We're still in the matrix. So these bodies have been put together in a very clumsy way, without care, just to examine 2 or 3 genetic or energetic properties at the very final stages. Now, exiting the matrix and evolving, many beings, including prime creators of different universes, will take the complete set of data, all our gifts and properties, healing, adaptability, and put that into new life where life does not exist. And so that's the purpose of this whole thing running. Now we who have endured the experiment will be allowed to live in peace. We've done our part. And please believe me, we're going to also benefit from this. So as the conditions of Earth energetically, physically improve, the children that are going to be born will be born with more of their gifts.
Yes.
And so as part of my work, I'm also working with gifted children. Ida, you have to see these guys. They are incredible, really and truly.
Oh, I love that, Dr. Amir. You just made my heart smile.
It warms my heart. It warms
so
my heart.
lovely.
These little guys are lit.
Yeah.
In my generation, I was the top of the class always, but I look at these guys, they're better than me. Truly. And
that's okay. I often say to people, I don't mean to interrupt you. It's getting closer, and we're gonna have to. I definitely have to have you come back. I mean, soon. Yes. I don't want to wait months. I think we need to pick this back up. I have so many more questions that I think are valuable questions to ask, because your knowledge and wisdom is just exceptional, and I love having these conversations.
It takes, my dear friend, it takes 2 to tango. Without you, I'd probably be sitting on the couch eating Cheetos and watching garbage on YouTube. So I have to thank you. That's your absolute.
Oh, Dr. Amir, it's just such a pleasure and an honor to have you on. Honestly, I've been telling everybody about you at my work. I mean, here in Florida, you know, anybody I come across, I'm like, you guys, you know, if anybody comes to me about a reading, I just at this point really want people to have the opportunity to come and work with you and get the help that I was that I received, and I feel so very grateful for, and I mean that.
It's my honor.
Yeah, but I have so much. But I was going to say to you, I have an expo coming up in October to work. I'm getting ready to buy another machine that has handheld devices, but an eyewear that you put on, PEMF and red light therapy, that evidently makes the colors brighter and really reduce, because your eyes are connected to your nervous system. For those that don't know this, your spinal cord, and it really helps relax the nervous system. You know, when we're in fight or flight, or we're really struggling with, you know, having to pay bills and figure out how we're going to, you know, I live on a humble income. I don't have, you know, but I live a pretty good life. I'm smart with how I spend my money, and I save up for things that I want, and so forth and so on. Now, I'd like to get to, and I plan to, I feel like I'm moving towards more of a, you know, an income where I can afford to help other people. But what I was going to say was, and I do help whenever I can, because I don't care if I have $20. If somebody needs it, they'll get it. That's just the way I am. But what was I going to say? Oh, these children with autism and high ADHD, we're doing an expo to introduce this technology that I'm using, because everybody, all my clients love it. They feel more expanded and open. I'll send you information on it. You may be interested in yourself, Dr. Amir. It is amazing, and I mean it. It's terahertz and EMF together. But anyway, so I'm going to, you know, I'm excited to hopefully, you know, things will work out in the expo. We'll move forward, and I'll be able to work with children too. That was my whole point. Sometimes it takes 5 minutes to get one. Sorry. Yeah.
And again, speaking about children, I'd like to shout out to Brian. Congratulations, my dear friend. May your daughter be a blessing upon humanity. We welcome her into this world and send her infinite love and blessing. May she be victorious and may seeing her victory make you happy.
Oh, that's so beautiful. Very nice, Dr. Amir. Thank you. I think we're going to end on that. Is there
Fantastic.
anything? So, can you share with people? So, I'll be in
Yeah,
touch with you to get
okay,
scheduled. We'll have you come back on. Let
absolutely.
people know where they can find you if they want to book a session with you.
Okay,
Tell them about your YouTube channel, please, and the work that you're doing. And then we'll end in just a few minutes.
fantastic. First and foremost, dear Ida, I'd like to thank you for the opportunity and facilitating this beautiful energy that we have created together. So, esteemed ladies and gentlemen, I'm Dr. Amir Jahangiri. My website is wizardofwivenhoe.co.uk. Here you can see it. I'm on YouTube, Wizard of Wivenhoe. Get in touch with me. I'm plugged into the matrix, so I've got my device with me, and it comes straight to my phone. Email me, I'll answer almost immediately. It would be a pleasure to be of service to you. Now, I'd like to just close off this wonderful discussion with a ray of hope. Ladies and gentlemen, you are a shard of the source of all sources. You are a drop from the mighty ocean, but you are the mighty ocean in one drop. You are the mighty human, and so you are divine. Everything and anything that you need is already within. And your task is really digging for the treasure where you know the location is correct. And so that digging is not easy. We come into this world and we are not born into the light. And so that very much is the whole purpose, to face challenges and be victorious in the face of these challenges. One lifetime is enough to reach ultimate ascension and connection to source, despite whatever we are facing. So more power to you. Believe in yourself and believe in your heart. If something is not loving, it is not true. Don't be deceived. I bless you all. I bless your journey and I bless your life. Thank you.
Oh, that was so lovely and well
Thank you.
received. Thank you so much, Dr. Amir.
Thank you. Thank you. My
Everybody,
pleasure.
please go visit Dr. Amir on his channel. The Wizard, say it again, Wizard, what's it
Wizard
called?
of Wivenhoe. Wivenhoe
Yes,
is in the southeast of the United Kingdom. It's where I really awakened. So I honor that place.
very
So
good.
wizardofwivenhoe.co.uk.
Yes, he's on YouTube, and he's got amazing readings that he has publicized, one of which he did for me one, and I've watched several of them. Subscribe to Cosmic Ruh. By the way, the word Ruh means spirit in Arabic and also in Hebrew, right? And so, and Dr. Amir and I have some connection there, and being from different Arabic countries, yes. But this was an absolute pleasure. The information you shared was fascinating, and yeah, and so we'll plan to have you come back. And thank you
Absolutely.
for coming on. And everybody have a fantastic day. Share this video out. Visit him on his YouTube channel. Visit him on Facebook. He posts different stuff there. And he's easily accessible, as he's mentioned. You can email him and contact me. Let me know if there's anything I can do to help. Yeah, very good. Have a blessed
Fantastic.
day. Thank you
You too.
again.
Thank you
I'll be
so
in
much.
touch. Very good.
I look forward to it. Thank you. Take care. Bye.
I think I hit the wrong one. Guys, I'm still learning. Bear with me.